In this series, we will explain one of the best books that talked about habits. A book really rich in information, and in this particular video, we will know why a person may reach a stage where he loses his memory and does not forget how to speak. And the topic turned out to be related to habits, my friend follower. Explanation of the first chapter of the book The Power of Habit by author Charles Duhigg. In this video, as usual, you need a cup of coffee or your favorite drink. Let's start. Hello everyone, to the Rich Books channel. In short, the idea of the channel is that I read a book and explain it to you in full. If you would like the benefit of reading without what you read, feel free to subscribe. Let me give you my first impression of the book in a friendly way. Reading the book, and from the first line the writer drew me in until I finished the first chapter. I was very surprised, because the story he mentioned in the first chapter is not just a mention of a story that happened and the topic ended. No, it was a transformation in the study of human habits and memory. Every line he wrote in this story leads me to the next. The story, in short, is about the life of a person named Eugene Polly. The events of the story begin in the year 1993, when Eugene Polly begins to gradually lose his memory. The reason behind it is viral encephalitis disease. It causes damage to parts of the brain. Historical events that cause major transformation and progress begin with the study of human memory and behavior. We know that memory loss can be complete or partial. The strange thing is that despite the loss of memory, there are things that are impossible to forget. It's, for example, the way we talk about numbers sometimes. He also does not forget that he has to dress and does not forget how to sleep. Knows how to eat with his hands. This thing is unforgettable. Of course, you can imagine that it is not obvious to forget this thing. But for example, when a child is born, does he know how to walk? The answer? No. But he starts to get the skill as soon as he sees his parents walking around him. But when a person loses memory, it is clear that most of the time he forgets how to move. Most of the time he does not forget his mother and forget his father. He may forget his name and identity. But he still knows how to dress and how to walk. Where does he sleep? How does he sleep? Dear follower, author Charles Eugene describes when he was having dinner with his wife. I told him that your son, Michael, would be visiting us soon. So he looked at her and said, Michael? She said yes, Michael will visit us soon. He looked at her with a blank face. He said, who is Michael? She told him your son Michael. Within a few minutes of this moment, Eugene started vomiting and started having some convulsions. Within 24 hours, they took him to the hospital, only to discover that he had viral encephalitis and that his brain had been damaged in some areas by this infection. Eugene fell into a coma for 10 days and was on the verge of death. However, after 10 days, his condition stabilized and he began to improve and recover gradually. About 2 weeks later, Eugene returns as before, but with a missing memory. The writer tells you that doctors told his wife to keep in mind that your husband is going to change. It might be someone new. Dr. Squire, who is overseeing Eugene's health, discovers that Eugene Polly has lost his memory over the past 20 years. He didn't completely lose his memory, but it was partial. At the same time, his memory cannot hold information for more than a minute. During their conversation, the doctor may have used an analogy involving a mouse case to help Eugene better understand his own medical condition. The doctor explained that in a particular study, rats with a condition similar to Eugene's were treated with a specific drug and showed significant improvement. The doctor may have then explained how this medication could potentially help Eugene's condition as well. Alternatively, the doctor may have used the mouse case to explain the underlying mechanisms of Eugene's condition, such as how certain proteins or cells behave in both mice and humans. After identifying the disease, Eugene's wife decided to change her husband Eugene's daily routine regarding drinking alcohol, so she decided to focus on changing his routine. She asked him to help her with a project, which involved cleaning and organizing the house before Michael's arrival. This new routine gave Eugene a sense of purpose and accomplishment, and it distracted him from his usual routine of drinking. As they worked together on the project, Eugene's wife also made sure to provide positive reinforcement by praising his progress and making him feel appreciated. This positive feedback helped to reinforce his new routine and motivated him to continue working on the project. By the time Michael arrived, Eugene had been sober for several days and was able to enjoy his son's visit without the need for alcohol. This experience showed Eugene that he was capable of breaking his habit and gave him the confidence to continue making positive changes in his life. The cue is a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and select a particular habit. The routine is the behavior itself, which can be physical, mental, or emotional. The reward is what you get out of the habit, whether it's a physical sensation, an emotional state, or a particular outcome. To illustrate this habit loop, Duhigg provides several examples. For instance, he talks about a woman named Lisa Allen, who was able to quit smoking by identifying her habit loop. Lisa realized that her cue was feeling stressed, her routine was smoking a cigarette, and her reward was a moment of relaxation. Once she identified this loop, she was able to replace smoking with a healthier habit, like taking a walk, whenever she felt stressed. My follower friend, suppose you have a habit of eating junk food in the afternoon when you are bored or stressed at work. You want to change this habit because you know that eating junk food is not healthy and it's affecting your productivity at work. The first step is to identify the cue that triggers your snacking habit. Is it boredom, stress, or something else? Once you identify the cue, you can experiment with new routines that satisfy the same need or craving. For example, if your cue is boredom, you could try going for a quick walk, doing a few stretches, or listening to music instead of snacking. Next, you need to identify the reward that you get from snacking. Is it the taste of the food, the distraction from work, or the temporary energy boost? Once you know what you're really craving, you can experiment with new rewards that satisfy the same need. If you're looking for a distraction from work, you could try chatting with a coworker, reading a few pages of a book, or doing a quick crossword puzzle. You need to make the new routine into a habit. This can take time and effort, but it's important to stick with it until it becomes automatic. Start by replacing your old routine with the new routine every time you feel the cue for your snacking habit. The more you repeat the new routine, the stronger the neural pathway in your brain will become, making it easier for the new habit to stick. It's also helpful to create a cue or reminder for the new habit. For example, if you've decided to go for a quick walk instead of snacking when you feel bored, you could set a reminder on your phone to take a walk at the same time every day. Over time, the reminder itself will become a cue for the new habit. Duhigg also discusses the neurological basis of habits, explaining that the brain creates a neural pathway that becomes stronger every time a habit is repeated. This is why habits can be so hard to break. The neural pathway has become deeply ingrained in the brain. However, habits can be changed by identifying and manipulating the habit loop, such as identifying a habit cue and reward and trying new routines that satisfy the same craving or need. Changing one small habit can have a ripple effect, leading to positive changes in other areas of one's life. Duhigg explains that habits are created by the basal ganglia, a part of the brain that is responsible for our automatic behaviors and habits. Dear follower, the cool thing here is that when we repeat a behavior or a routine over and over again, the basal ganglia create a neural pathway that makes that behavior automatic, such that we don't have to consciously think about it anymore. It is also important to identify the specific cues and rewards that trigger our habits. By paying attention to our behaviors and the circumstances around them, we can identify the triggers that lead to our habits and the rewards we get from them. Once we understand our habits in this way, we can begin to experiment with new routines and behaviors that satisfy the same needs or cravings, without the negative consequences. One of the key takeaways from the first part of the book is that habits are not just personal quirks or preferences, but rather they are powerful forces that shape our lives. By understanding the science of habits and how they work, we can take control of our automatic behaviors and make positive changes in our lives. This can have a ripple effect, leading to improvements in our overall well-being and productivity. My follower friend, thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. See you next week for part 2 of this book. Goodbye.